So that's not an enticing thing to invite somebody to Mali as far as going to see something other than being really involved with local people and gaining a love for them, because there's just not much there. So.
One of the things to consider is who do you take? And one of the things that we learned very quickly was that it's very advantageous in a situation like this to take an oral surgeon. This patient, we kind of sanitized this slide a little bit, but when we first started to see this young man, he's about 18. This was about an hour and a half after we started the clinic. This kid comes in, that's Shane Jessen there, and the guy in the coat is a local dental surgeon that's there. His name is Kulabali. This kid came in with a gaping neck wound that was about 4 inches all ear to ear across. So this is an hour after we hit the ground, and this kid comes in. He's also got, where you see the patch there, that's a chest drain that Kulabali had put in a while ago, and they're in the process of trying to stitch him up. Kulabali was ready to jump in to debride and clean this and sew this up without touching this guy with any anesthetic. And Shane luckily was able to start an IV, run some sedation for him, and got him a lot more comfortable so that they were able to complete the process properly. So there are occasions when you're doing this kind of emergency stuff that it's really handy to have an oral surgeon with you. Other general dentists you'll take, an oral surgeon we mentioned, hygienists and assistants, marvelous experience for them. Other project volunteers, the last couple of years that we've gone, we actually had some construction people that came along with us, and they installed solar panels on schools that had been built there. Kind of a separate project, but we were there together and were able to blend those functions together. Family members, always marvelous to be able to take family members whenever possible. And of course some non-dental staff. We had some folks again associated with the construction group that helped as well. Our group size we found worked well, about 15 to 25 people. Again, you just have to start thinking about translators, about transportation, about accommodations, and being able to manage a group size that's something you can keep track of. It's also really handy if you can take some guy who can do this stuff without looking. So that's kind of handy too. Lawrence can do this with his eyes closed. So.
You thought all these clinicians that were here trained so well today, you didn't know somebody could do anesthetic with no vision on it. That's pretty amazing. Your group dynamics, a picture of our group, one of the streets there. You've got to find people that are going to be cooperative. We've had issues a little bit as we've gone along, finding people that kind of get along with everybody else. You've got to have people that are flexible and willing to go with the flow here, because there's a third world country. It's a lot going on. Got to be durable. I've taken my wife, and my wife Trudy back here is a hygienist, and she's been with us for all 4 years. And the one morning she woke up and to a mouse that ran down her body and off her leg and through, and so and you've got a little place that you're going to the bathroom in the ground again. There's no running water. The first place we stayed in, so got to be pretty durable. You want people that are competent and feel comfortable doing what they're doing with oral surgery and whatnot. You got to keep a good sense of humor. Tom and I and the rest of the group, we laughed a lot, and even though some of this stuff's pretty serious stuff, you got to keep a sense of humor. You'd go bonkers, I think, in this kind of situation.
One of the things to talk about is when you mentioned going over a holiday, for example. That's handy. The fewer days that you can be out of the office, obviously, cut your costs down. The temperature in Mali right now is 125 degrees, and it's raining almost incessantly for the months of June, July, and August. We obviously don't go then. We go in February because it's a little drier and it's cooled all the way down to 95. So that's one of the things that you think about. Again, a convenient time to be out of the office. Your family and home considerations obviously play a factor there. Travel schedules. We made our travel plans based on nonstop flights if possible. That minimizes your luggage issues and some of the other travel and expense issues. So look for those kind of considerations when you look at it. Effectiveness in the country. If you're there when the people are harvesting, they're not going to come. That's the advantage of being in February in Mali also, because their crops are harvested and they're able to come to the clinics. And so little things like that, the last thing you'd want to do is go to a place, think you're all prepared and set to go, and the people won't come. because if their choice is come to the dentist and get some issues taken care of, or to feed their family, they're going to be working. So.
When we planned this, it was important to get a leadership group early. There was a lot of planning to get everybody all the way to Mali. You have to have a number of issues that you go through. You've got an in-country facilitator that we had a guy named Ibrahima over there, a very bright individual that we just love. He's actually coming over here in the next few weeks. He just got a visa, but it's important you have in-country people to facilitate this. Otherwise, in Mali, it was very primitive, and it was very difficult to get that done. Impossible, really didn't have somebody there. You had to plan very carefully. We had a number of meetings together as a leadership group, and we had a number of meetings with the entire group. Delegating major tasks, even all the way down to certain kind of tags that identified all our luggage, and they were all numbered. So you get 25 people going, and you have that number of pieces of luggage coming into an airport. They all need to be numbered because it's every single time we've been there, we've been missing luggage. And they deliver it clear out to some village, and you want to know which pieces are missing, because you're riding there late at night, you're trying to get clear out to a village, and you're dead tired. So even something like that has to be delegated. Expect the unexpected. It's third world. They say hurry up and wait, and that's what you do a lot of times. So you've got to expect things to be, you've got to roll the punches and just be ready to change, turn on the dime, because things change every day.
I wanted to point out that there is a stake in Mali, and this is the stake presidency.
What is it?
Just kidding. No, just kidding.
These little piles.
Well, what do you think the little piles are? This is actually a shot from the market on Fridays in Welasabugu. That was the main town that we were centered in. It's kind of like a county seat, and then we went out to several villages outlying of Welasabugu. But on Friday, all those villagers come to town to the market. And so we learned that we better have our clinic on Friday in Welasabugu, not in one of the towns, because they aren't there. They're in Welasabugu. So this was a walk through the market, and those little piles are actually dried fish. They look like something else, but they're actually dried fish, and that's a fly swatter. He's just basically keeping the flies off of his wares there. So that was just the whole market experience is really something. I wish we could show you a video of that, and especially if it had smell-o-vision.
Yeah.
Suggested leadership assignments. When we started to break this down, we had an expedition leader in this last one. That was Lawrence. Somebody that contacts outside entities, the country, the government, so forth. Logistics, somebody that takes care of transportation, logic, interpreters, and luggage, that sort of thing. Food was Trudy on this last trip. She took care of all things nutritional for us. We took a lot of food with us. The first year we did not, and suffered from a food standpoint. The second year took a little more from a food standpoint that we took with us, and they had a little kitchen facility that we were able to prepare some of our meals, which made a big difference. Treasure somebody to do the money. One of the issues is currency. Some of these countries, it's not like you go to the airport and there's a currency exchange. You have to arrange for somebody in the country. We did. We literally exchanged currency in a parking lot outside the airport. And that was all arranged again by Ibrahim. Clinic chief of staff was really handy to have somebody just kind of be the one that is in charge of triage or kind of handle the issues as they came up in the clinic. And that was Shane for us this last trip. The chaplain, we had devotionals every night. Which was really very handy, and then had a sacrament meeting on Sunday when we were there. There are no members in the country. There is one member. The second is actually on a mission, young man. But there's no church organization there at all. I'm going to take this one real quick, Lawrence. This was Home Sweet Home, the first year that I went, the third year that Lawrence went. That's the bathroom and showers. I made those cardboard signs to delineate boys and girls, and the one on the left's the shower. So this is the shower. The middle one was the toilet. We brought the porta potty. That helped. Otherwise, you're kind of on your own. And the right was a bed with mosquito netting and so forth. Our accommodations were not quite what the G3 Foundation was. So we're going with you guys next time. Food was the same thing. And on the upper left corner, we talk about take small bites and eat and chew slowly. You don't know what you're getting, and it's always with the right hand, not the left hand. You never put your left hand in the food bucket. The second year was much nicer. On the right-hand side, this was from the Wela Foundation, and they actually have a compound there that we were able to stay in that was much nicer accommodations.